And welcome back to the channel. This is Thomas Goes Nostalgic, and on this episode, we're going to be opening our Mcfarlane DC Multiverse BANE. And once again, welcome back to the channel. This is Thomas Goes Nostalgic. So we're going to be unboxing our Mcfarlane DC Multiverse BANE. This is my first Mcfarlane DC figure. I'm not a big fan of the line. I don't like the scale, but when it came to a really big figure like this, especially BANE, I just had to get him. So I'm not going to go too far down a Mcfarlane rabbit hole. There's definitely figures I've been waiting for that have not been released, but once I get those couple of figures, then I think that's it. But since this is a bigger figure, I don't really mind that it scales bigger, but this looks like the BANE when I started reading comics. So I really wanted a version of him. So I want to take a look at him, maybe do some wish list of what I'd like to see, and then take a look. First, just looking at this box, it has a huge window, so you can see this figure. This is a pretty big box that comes in the mail. So you get that open view all over the side, but I think the artwork on the back is really awesome. So that's almost just cool to cut out and keep, but I enjoy that artwork a lot. And here is BANE out of the packaging, and he's pretty light on accessories, but from the one Mcfarlane figure that I do have, the Genie from the Mirrorverse, he really came with nothing. But BANE does come with a DC stand, and he comes with a collector card of the artwork from the packaging. So that's pretty cool. First impressions, I do love the sculpt. I love the paint. I do love the details of all the green, the contrast, and that gunmetal gray on the canister. So that's pretty cool. But let's check him out closer and get him on the turntable. And this is the classic BANE that I remember from the Nightfall storyline. That was one of the first storylines of comics that I ever read, actually. And that was when I was really into DC. It's funny, I was into DC more as a kid, and then kind of transitioned to Marvel as an adult. But I still have a love for Batman and the franchise. I'm just not a fan of the Mcfarlane figures. I like the sculpt. I think that all the variations of Batman are kind of tired, and it reminds me of growing up in the Kenner age where you got a different kind of Batman all the time, and it was just kind of overwhelming. Just dress them up in different colors and all that stuff. So it's kind of reminds me of that, which is kind of boring to me. But if I can complete some of the characters from the Nightfall line, then I'm all for it. I really want that Nightfall Batman, but I haven't been able to find him. Really expensive on eBay, but I don't think he's had the proper release yet. So once that Asbat starts showing up in stores, hopefully I get my hands on it. I was really hoping, I saw that there was a rumor about a Robin figure. Robin is my favorite DC character. I loved his first appearance when he had his own solo run by Chuck Dixon. To me, that was the best Robin. That's where they first dressed him up in more of that ninja type outfit with the red and green, and he had the flat bottom cape. And Mcfarlane just releases this figure, which is cool enough, I guess. You can even tell by the sculpting that it was probably meant to be that classic Robin, but they just said, let's throw this one out there. So let's check out this thing. So just trying them out in a few different poses. I do like that the Mcfarlane figures have some toe articulation. It gives you a little better range than some of the Marvel Legends. But overall, I'm getting used to this articulation. It's a little different than the Marvel Legends, but I guess there's no swivel at the bicep there. There's no cut. All pins, so not very different from Marvel Legends mostly. But overall, his joints are pretty good. Get him in some pretty wide positions there with his arms, and then his hands have a hinge at the wrist. No cut at the thigh, so that's a little different from Marvel Legends, but like I said, you do get that pretty nice toe articulation, so pretty cool. I do like this BANE overall. Just looking at the mask, this is the look when I think of BANE. I think of that kind of luchador mask, but this is in spirit of the first appearance, I think. These green cords coming out, feeding the venom into his body, I think that is probably my favorite. I just love that he's mostly black, but then you have that really bright neon green that is contrasting it. Doesn't come with alternative hands, which I feel like he would have needed some fisted hands. But as far as a Bane figure and just kind of starting a small Batman collection, this is the one that I've been waiting for. I know that there was a big hulking gray one. I had no interest in that. And like I said, I don't have any other DC McFarlanes, so this is just more of a kid's toy. It's a 2-pack that came with a Robin. I'll show you why I bought that one in a second. So just using that Batman as a placeholder until I ever get my blue and gray Batman. You know, this is pretty much what I bought this figure for, is for a future display of the Nightfall era. All right, so this is the pose that I was going for. It's the scene. It's that really iconic comic book cover where Bane is breaking Batman's back. And again, just using this Batman as a placeholder. If I was to get a McFarlane Batman, I really want probably the year 2 style looking Batman. But that one on the aftermarket's a little too expensive. So I just want the Batman. I want the As-Bat Nightfall Batman. And I'm really looking for that classic first run solo Robin. And let me show you what I mean with some of the figures that I have. So one of my favorite things to do when I get new figures, if I have the older figures to compare and contrast, I think it's really cool to see where we came from, especially like a lot of 90s style figures, and where we are now. So I think in the spirit of this Bane, this was the Bane, this is my childhood Bane. So pretty good comic accurate Bane, but this is from the Batman and Robin movie, so definitely not accurate to the film, but this was a great Bane just to use in any normal display of Batman. So because it doesn't even look like the movie, I'm glad it looked more like the comic, but this one's definitely had some love. It even has that unfortunately that sticky syndrome that some figures get, but the green Venom line coming in, this was old Kenner at its best. 5 points of articulation, but this was still a hulking figure to go over your Batman. Then this Batman figure I have, this is from either the Legends of the Dark Knight or Legends of Batman figure line. I had a lot of those, and that was one of those where a lot of the figures were just kind of dressed up for no reason, but this one actually was from the comics. So I did have a Nightfall Batman growing up as a kid. He was in that pre-pose position, which I think Kenner started doing a little bit towards the mid or later 90s, but I lost the cape, unfortunately. This one also too was well loved, but I did love this figure. So let's talk about Robin. I'm posting a picture of the Robin that was just announced recently, and I got my hopes up a little prematurely, but the Robin that we got is not the Robin that I want specifically. My problem with it is it looks like they actually did sculpt it to be this Robin, and then in the end it just was a Robin that they called it Red Robin, but he's red, but it looks like it was meant to be this classic style Tim Drake. These two figures, I believe, are the only accurate figures of Tim Drake's first appearance from the original comic line that he had by Chuck Dixon. This is the first time where he was kind of taken out of those tights, the circus outfit, and put into a more ninja-esque outfit. The only other figure that I would say is close is the Batman Returns Robin, which I think I have that somewhere. Yeah, so here's this Batman Returns Robin. I'm actually waiting to open this for a specific video I'm doing about Batman Returns, but this is the original logo that he had. And this look is what I'm looking for in a modern Robin outfit. And actually, if you go to the old Mattel line, they didn't even have a version of this Robin. There's some things that make this very specific look. To me, it is the pads on the arm. Then he did have a flat cape, which he did have the flat cape with the circus, I guess, version, but it was all yellow. This had black on the outside, yellow on the inside. That R to me is the 90s R. Seeing his outfit become more tactical, he had those rivets on his arm, kind of like the new one. The belt, I don't think this is such an accurate version of the belt. It's closer to what I expect, but then the green mask as well. So this is from the Justice League of America line. I also like the Total Justice DC line as a kid. I think those are awesome figures. The most recent, closest depiction of that Robin is from a Mattel line. Now, I bought this 2-pack with that Batman specifically just for this Robin. It has pretty okay articulation, not that great, but so far this is the best we have of this look. So this is a pretty decent figure, but I'd love a modern, fully articulated version of this Robin. Mcfarlane, please just do this. I saw some customizers that actually did just do a little Photoshop and do that. I saw it on the swoosh this weekend, but I really want to have to customize it. I just want the figure to come just like this, and I think that's my problem with Mcfarlane figures, is that when you get them, you know, they're close to what you wanted, but then it has his style on it. But either way, this is about Bane. Overall, as a figure, I do like this Bane. I'm glad this is my first Mcfarlane DC figure. I don't want to get too crazy with the Mcfarlane figures, but this one, as Bat, Year 2 Batman, and hopefully a Robin in our future. If you like this content, hit like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you get notifications of when I post my next episode. Until then, we'll catch you next time.